Hi everybody, and welcome to the best ArmA 3 mods of February 2020. I decided to go back to this monthly format of the top mods to check out, so definitely let me know of any good mods out there. The modifications for ArmA 3 of course include total conversions, scenarios, maps, weapon or vehicle packs, and more. The order of these mods won't be in any particular one, but they are all definitely worth checking out and offer something unique. Before we begin, please also check out some of my other YouTube channels you can find in the description down below, and if you like what you see, then please support those channels by subscribing. It helps me out a lot. All of the modifications that are on this list can also be found and downloaded in the description down below. Let's get started. We begin with the OSHA Western Map and Resource Pack. The name says it all, but basically this brings a Western theme map and props to the ArmA engine. In the past, there have been a handful of Western-style missions, but most were custom-made creations where other people could not play around with the assets in the editor. Now that is actually the case here. Now granted, the map can feel a bit empty at times. It's mostly a big open desert with foliage and rocks, but there are some small towns and outposts here and there. The biggest town is in the center of the map, and pretty much contains most of the new buildings that come with the mod. Not only buildings are included, which you can then decorate accordingly, but also the execution gallows, the saloon, the sheriff's office, and a church are included. Since I recently replayed Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC, I was very much in the mood for a Western style of scenario. This mod offers that, with even weapons from that age being included and some outfits. It's again all very limited, and this definitely feels like an alpha release, but nonetheless, it works really well. The weapons are fun to use, with the revolvers producing a lot of smoke across the battlefield, and the horses are a nice addition for lack of vehicles. Unfortunately though, they do not animate, which is a shame because last year I talked about a mission that actually did have animated horse movements in there, and that is sorely missed in this case. You can make all kinds of cool scenarios with this mod, from epic duels to large-scale battles or clashes in the local saloons. We then take a look at a custom scenario called Stalker 2 Roadside Picnic. This is currently the alpha release, but already feels quite polished and fun to play and offers around an hour to a little over in terms of gameplay. This scenario is trying to revive the spirit of the Stalker franchise and put it in the ArmA engine. It's a very logical marriage in my opinion, since survival games like DayZ, which found its origin on the ArmA 2 engine, has some similarities to the Stalker games. Stalker Roadside drops you into the open fields with a bit of food and water, and your only hint is to get to a base camp where you will receive your missions, much like it is in Stalker. Once you get to the base and receive your mission, you realize that all mission briefings are fully animated cutscenes accompanied with dialogue. It's not perfect yet, as I did have my character glitch through the frame a couple of times, but the effort that the creators went through is definitely appreciated. All the voice acting is in Russian though, but the most important dialogue is always subtitled in English. Besides the main quest, you have several side quests you can do, and exploring really rewards the player with better gear and supplies. Besides zombies and other human enemies, you will also stumble upon anomalies, which are very cool and even dangerous since they can hurt both you and other NPCs. From weird noises to actual floating objects, it all can be a bit creepy, but never leaps into horror territory. In general, there isn't that much action going on at once, so it's also a perfect mission for those who have a more limited PC rig. This is definitely worth checking out, and eventually the creators want to have a scenario that will offer around 15 hours of gameplay. They even want to introduce monsters into the game as well, and all in all, this is a scenario worth keeping an eye on. Then we have the modification labeled Halo Final Dawn. The Operation Trebuchet mod of course brought us the awesomeness of the Halo universe to ArmA 3. Its main focus is on the UNSC forces and not on the war with the Covenant or the Flood. Through First Contact mod, many people who screamed for the Covenant to be added finally got what they wished for in the form of the elite troopers and ghosts. But you all know how people on the internet are, and soon they wanted more. Now there are some excellent videos out there on YouTube on Covenant models that are coming to the mod soon, and they look excellent and really detailed. But while we wait for those units to be released in a future update, there's this smaller mod that might silence people's appetites a little bit. Halo Final Dawn brings us new units in the form of several brutes from the Covenant, accompanied by new weapons including the Spiker. Jackals are also added, and they even have some of their characteristic snipers. Now I'm sure a lot of people are happy that they finally can add these new unit types to created missions in the editor, but if one were to look closely, you can see that they do lack some detail. The Jackals in particular look a little funky, but beggars cannot be choosers. The brutes in comparison look a bit better, though their armor still lacks some detail. They also die very quickly, to the point where they do not convey the tankiness that the brutes are known for. The Space Marines in the There's Only War mod convey this much better. What's more is that some of the weapon models, like the earlier mentioned Spiker, lack textures and are purely white if seen from first person. It all feels like a very early alpha build and is far from perfect. But for those who also want to finally have some flood combat are in luck. 2 flood types get added in this mod, including the infestation types, the small sphere-like creatures that can kill quickly in large numbers, and they mostly die with one shot, conveying good how weak they are in reality and only a threat if they are with high enough numbers. Since they die with one shot, you can also easily face them off against AI, which will be quite effective in dealing with them. Then there are the human zombie creatures, and they play like your typical zombie and demon types of undead. Our next modification in this list is a hardcore mission created by Jungo. This mission creator has already made several SWAT-themed missions in the past, and they are categorized as being brutally difficult with no response available, so you have to think about every move and step that you take. This particular mission is horror-themed, though don't expect any jump scares. The horror comes in the form of a cult that kidnaps civilians and do terrible things to them. You will see the mutilations that they did to their victims, and the environment is definitely creepy. But don't be alarmed if you don't like horror games in general. This is not that type of mission. There have been close quarter missions in ArmA 3 before on the workshop, and sometimes the glitchiness of the ArmA engine works against these types of missions. It happens, for example, multiple times that an enemy would glitch through the wall or floor with his gun and would shoot you from an angle where he could not be shot in return. That definitely is not the case here, as all the enemies are cleverly positioned to avoid those situations. Now this doesn't mean that this will be a walk in the park, and I highly recommend you tackle this mission at least with 3 people. The mission creates such a good vibe and tension that you can really live out some of your SWAT fantasies by breaching doors or clearing buildings from several entryways. The horror mod is definitely put to good use by showcasing what the cult is doing to its victims. Some of the cult members are wearing masks of human skin, and it all makes it very creepy and reminiscent of some of the horror-themed missions from the classic game SWAT 4. A must-play for those wanting to tackle a hardcore mission that does not hold back. Then finally we end with a custom scenario called Girls' Night Out. This is a single player or co-op mission that is based on an already existing mission called The Island. This mission was released back in 2017, and I can wholeheartedly recommend trying this mission as well, as it is a ton of fun to do in multiplayer. It has a Dead Island type vibe, where you and your friends are stranded on an island and have to head towards a tropical resort which is overrun by zombies. But despite that the blueprints of the mission have already been laid out, the creator Sin has added some of her own flair with new areas and buildings to explore, new enemy encounters, and even new types of scares or vibes with the horror-themed mods that were not available during the original. The pacing of the mission is excellent and really encourages team play. The mission never gets frustrating or too difficult, and you just want to keep on playing and see where you are going next. Exploration often yields rewards too, as loose objects and supplies are scattered through buildings. It really brings you back to that DayZ vibe where you look in each corner to hopefully find something good. The downside of this mission though is that you need a ton of other mods in order to get it running. This originally started out as a project the creator was working on herself, but eventually wanted to share with others. I can recommend checking this out, even for those who have already experienced this adventure once during the island scenario. Alright guys, and that was it for the month of February 2020. I hope you guys liked the modifications on this list, and I will make another top mods videos in March. Because of course so many mods come out each day, please let me know of any scenarios, maps, or total conversion mods that stick out so I can check them out and include them in the upcoming videos. I hope you guys will check in with the next top ArmA 3 mods again, and I'll see you guys next month.